So I normally don't do this, but because it's early in the year and we have a lot to cover, I'm going to add a second video to this 5 minutes to better writing. And I want to complete the thoughts. I know I was rushing at the end of the previous video, and I want to cover a couple more areas. Let me make this bigger. And I just got done reviewing that after periods, you put a space, after exclamation points and question marks, you put a space, after commas, you put a space, and it helps just to make your writing look more organized. When I was younger, or even recently, I can't break this habit. It was always two spaces, so I still put two spaces a lot, but it has changed to one is acceptable. When you introduce your quotes in EASSE, we have a couple of elementary habits to break. Your elementary teachers did a great job teaching you EASSE. We want to break a few habits. One of them is this. Some of you introduce your quotes by saying, I know this because on page 35 it states. All right. We are going to take you to the next level. We do not need to say, I know this because ever. All right. You just tell what you know. So on page 35 it states, comma, and here's what we do, comma, space, quotation, and then your next, when you start copying your quote, it goes right where that cursor is. And that was my point down here. On page 35, it states, and that'll be good to hear me say that again, comma, space, quotation, and then you write your response. All right, that's how you introduce that could be either quote, for that second quote, sometimes we like to say later it states, comma, space, quotation, right? You could also say it also states, comma, space, quotation, right? So make sure you're introducing your quotes with those transition phrases. The last thing I want to do is I want to show you, this is a student response. This was written by a child. I know sometimes your teachers write models for you. Actually, we write models for you almost for every assignment that you do. But I know it's very easy to say, well, of course the teacher can do it. It's a model. I know the teacher can do it. But this is one that a student wrote, and it is beautiful. So I want to read this one to you. Look at the nice mix of your colors here. Your quotes aren't more than half your answer. The most important parts are your yellow and your blue, and those are the biggest parts of this student's response. Let's take a look at what a sixth grader did. This is not the teacher. Garvey thinks banishment for Cole is better than sending him to jail because Garvey thinks banishment is more effective than jail. How will Cole learn what he did wrong when he's forced to be in a jail cell all day? Banishment would give Cole time to heal and learn about his mistakes, while jail would not. In the banishment, Cole would have to learn how to survive on his own. But in a jail cell, you already have food, water, and the basic necessities handed to you. In chapter 6, it states, comma, space, quotation, right? Banishment isn't a sentence. It's simply a time for Cole to walk his talk. We tell him to give more than lip service to the idea of change. But what chance does he have to prove anything if he's locked up? Question mark, quotation mark, two spaces, or at least one. It also states, comma, space, quotation, right? What makes banishment work is the extreme isolation. It allows the offender to spend a long period free of all friends, drugs, alcohol, and other influences that have gotten them into trouble. It's time to think. These quotes show how, period, close quote. I forgot to say that at the end of that quote. Now we need a thought at the end. These quotes show how Garvey thinks banishment is better than jail. And you might say, well, that's not a thought. You're right, that's not a thought, but this student follows it up with a thought. I agree with Garvey. Cole needs to be isolated and kept away from everyone, or else he might end up hospitalizing more people. I think this banishment will help Cole only if he accepts the fact that he needs it. The student who wrote this is unbelievable. And there are several of you who wrote responses as good as this. And so well done. And there might be some of you sitting there going, I can't write that. Well, you can. You can. And with practice, you will be able to do it. So today's 5 minutes to better reading is actually 10 minutes to better reading. So make sure you answer the questions. Don't forget the direction word is Garvey. Oh, I just messed up. I got to fix that. It's Edwin. Edwin is the direction word. Sorry. Edwin is the direction word.